Hey guys, I'm Joe, and today I'll be showing you how to make a house beat in Logic. We're doing this by using the sounds from Drummer and some of the preset sounds used. So make a new Drummer track, we'll go over and select Electronic and hit Create. And now we'll select Magnus if it hasn't done it for you already, simply because he's a favourite of mine. We'll also change the tempo to 124, which is quite typical tempo for a house track. Now you can of course design your own beats in Drummer by using the settings down here, but I prefer to create my own just because it makes them a bit more unique. So now I've got our drum track, we'll go over and open up the Drummer soundboard, and the main sounds we'll be using will be the kick, snare, clap, and these two hi-hats, so I'll just create a track for each of those. Now it's generally a good idea to separate the MIDI notes onto their designated tracks for mixing and editing purposes. For the sake of simplicity and for this video, we'll do them all on the same one. So now we'll close this and delete the drummer line, and create an empty MIDI region on the kick line. Now typically in house you'll have a fall to the floor kick pattern, so we'll go ahead and put that in. Like so. Now to make it more realistic and give it a bit of rhythm, we'll increase the velocity on the first and third hit and decrease it slightly on the second and fourth. As it's already quite high on the first, we'll leave that alone and just decrease the second and fourth to about 80. There we go. And also decrease the third slightly just so it's a little bit less than the first. It's about, there we go. Next is the snare and the clap, and they're normally on the offbeat, which is the second and fourth hit, so we'll just put them in, like so. And you want to increase the velocity on them slightly just so they stand out a little bit more. Make them about 100. And lastly is the hi-hats. Now there are several ways of doing hi-hats in a house track, and the classic way is to use 4 hits per bar, all of which are on the offbeat. The others are to have them in 8ths or 16ths, depending on the feel of your track. If it's a faster feeling track, then using 8ths would be a good method to use, but for this we'll just use the 4. So we'll go ahead and put the 4 in, all on the offbeats. Like so. Now I like to add a lot of variation in my house beats, mainly in the hi-hats, as it makes them sound a bit more interesting. So for good variation you can add open hi-hats every now and then. So here I'll duplicate this track and just change these two to open. There we go, so now the beat will sound like this. So it's still fairly basic, but it's coming along quite nicely. Fills are also very important to use as they signify a change in the song. You can either have short fills halfway through a verse or a chorus lasting for just one beat, or larger ones to end the whole section using 2 beats or even a full bar. With the smaller fills it's important to work the extra sounds around the original beat. So add some extra snare hits either side of the original, and same with the hi-hats. In my fills I tend to use a lot of snare, occasionally some toms, but mainly focused on the snare as it makes it feel like it's building up to something. So I'll duplicate these 2 bars and add a short fill at the end of the 4th bar. So go along and we'll delete the snare and the clap. So just add some snare hits here. And we'll also change the hi-hats to make them a bit more suitable for a fill. So just move the open down here and add an open here. So here's what the fill sounds like with the bar. So it's still quite simple, but signifies that something's going to change. And lastly, after a fill, I tend to put a crash in as it signifies the new change and that something will be making an entrance, as it were. So we'll copy these 4 over, like so. And at the start of the 5th bar, we'll put in a crash. So here's some of the beat with the fill and then the crash. Now it's best to listen to artists you like and get ideas from their beats and put in your own variations on them to create a sound that's unique to you. So just play around with some different fills and hi-hat variations. I hope this video has been useful, and if you have any questions please leave me a comment on here or message me via my website. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.